How we doing today, everybody? Watch display here, and today I have a wonderful timepiece. It's the Zenith Elite Captain Ultra Thin Dual Time. It's a mouthful, but what we're saying here, it normally people think Zenith, they think El Primero, and this is actually their Elite line. And it's the Captain series, and it's also an ultra thin, and it's also a dual time. So honestly, this is actually an upgraded movement compared to the Zenith El Primero. A lot of people think that this is just a flat out like a lower tier, and in certain instances, in terms of popularity and price points, it can be. But this does have hacking, which the El Primero does not. And it also has bidirectional date function change. So you can actually rotate the crown once engaged, either counter or clockwise, and you'll get either up or down of the date. And with the El Primero, you would run the risk of actually making the watch malfunction. You can break that date, not the actual date window, but the date function itself can break. But what we have here is this is 40 millimeters. It is approximately 48 lug to lug. So when I say lug to lug, we're talking from here to here. And that's really what I look at a lot now is lug to lug. My wrist is 6 3/4. So looking at lug to lug, I don't like the lugs to hang off of my wrist. And the Zenith El Primero tricolor chronograph, which is a beautiful example, beautiful chronograph. I had that previously. I had it in the 42 millimeter, and that was a little bit over 50. I think it was 52 millimeters lug to lug. And at 52 millimeters, it overhung my wrist. I would say this would be good for a wrist all the way down to about 6.25. So 6 1/4 inches, depending on shape, of course, too. But you will see this watch is super thin. I mean, unbelievably thin. 9 millimeters on this, and that's due to the Elite movement. The Elite movement itself is only 4 millimeters thick. So that's how Zenith can get a automatic as well as a complication of a small seconds, as well as a date function, as well as a GMT. So you're getting a lot of bang per buck in this watch, especially in a compact, almost dress watch size. Now this watch does also come on a bracelet. I did not get it on the bracelet. Most of the versions that I saw on bracelet were the black dial. And while I do normally tend to draw towards black dial watches, with the amount of detail on this watch, you couldn't see the detail as much on the black dial. And also you can see the black dial had the red tip on this GMT hand, but just the tip. This is an entire blued. We're not talking painted, we're talking actually heated blued GMT hand, and the small seconds hand is also blue. And I just feel like you can really see the different textures on this silver dial. And in certain lights you get, I mean, it's just, so in certain lights it doesn't even look like this outer ring around the hour markers. It doesn't even look like it's like got a finish to it in certain lights. But then when you get it in other lights, you can see that it's actually a circular pattern of brushing. And it's very well finished. And then you have the hobnail in the center, which is really well done, especially at this price point. And then you also have another texture on the small seconds. It's a circular pattern as well, but it's different from the outer ring. And you might not be able to see in the video, but the outer 24-hour for the GMT function is actually stepped down, and it's almost bubbled, kind of rounded and stepped down. Similar to like something like a Blancpain 50 fathoms bezel, how it's got that rounded edge to it. That's kind of this outer ring is, and it really picks up the light, and it allows you, at first glance, you would think that it might be a little tricky to see the 24-hour features, but it's actually very, very easy to read. I like the date at the 6 o'clock. It's very well balanced. I think it would have looked kind of funky if it was over here. And of course, it's hard to see right now, but you do have an applied, highly detailed star, as well as a somewhat recessed applied Zenith logo. And what's really amazing on this watch, and especially for the price point, not only is it everything you're getting in such a thin case and at its price point, but these hour markers are all hand finished, as well as the hour hands. They're all hand finished. And I have honestly never had a watch other than Grand Seiko's at this price point or anywhere really near it that delivered this type of dial detail and more specifically the hour markers, the three-dimensional star, the actual hands themselves. They look like knives. It's very, very well done. So as mentioned, it is the Elite movement. It's a little bit newer. Well, I wouldn't say a little bit newer. It's a more recent movement than the El Primero. It is very well decorated. I'm sorry if I'm getting a lot of reflections. Zenith is actually, in my opinion, really upgraded their polish. I've had a few in the past, older references, and the polishing is getting up there with something from the likes of Omega and Rolex. And I know it's hard to say like, oh, polish is polish, but all polishes are not created equal. This thing is like a mirror on its polished surfaces. But back to the movement, it is well detailed, and as mentioned before, it's only a 4mm thick movement, and that's with all these complications too. So it's just excellent, and you can see the way the lugs kind of contour down, and the case back isn't too protruding. It's actually almost a little bit recessed. It's hard to see there, but everything is very well detailed for its price point. And you can see there's the model number, referencing, and movement, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get super detailed in the movement, but to deliver this at this price point, I'm impressed. Now which is my favorite thing, to change the actual 24-hour function, you don't have to worry about this being engaged. You don't have to worry about pulling the crown out. You don't have to worry about pressing a little button on the side like some of the Longines or some of the Jaeger LeCoultre where you have to put a little tool to hit it. You literally just press this button. It's that easy. And there's nothing that you can do to mess this watch up while you're doing it. It can be running. It can be pulled out. There's nothing really, you can really see those hands right there in the hour markers. There's nothing really you can do to mess that GMT. I mean, it's literally that simple. It's probably the easiest GMT function that I've ever handled personally. And you can see these chamfers. It's hard to see due to the polishing, but the lugs kind of sweep in, and the brush finishing. This is an original finished watch. It's never been refinished or anything like that. So you can see those chamfers are just superb. And the light just catches them in real light. This isn't really doing justice. I'm working with the camera light right now. The light's a little bit on the hot side in terms of color. It's a little bit more of an orangey light, but you can really see those chamfers. And the case design in general is just superb. It wears very flat on the wrist. It literally disappears. And a lot of people would think a watch at 40 millimeters might be a little bit large if it's all dial. But whatever they did with this kind of contoured bezel sloping, it really, really kind of like fades away in the wrist. And in my opinion, it wears true. Whoa, sorry about that. It wears true to the 40 millimeters or even smaller due to how thin it is and just the really well executed case on this. And let's see, we got a nice, everyone probably knows the nice star logo that's usually on the crowns. Sorry, for anything you see on this is pretty much fingerprints. There's a very, very, very minimal signs of wear on this, but overall it's pretty well, it's pretty minty. And this one's going to come on Zenith. This is like a deep brown, almost a chocolate brown, and black in some lighting, but it actually is actually brown, and it's really well made. I really love Zenith's straps, and the reason being is the backside on these straps. I don't know if it can pick up on it. This is a 20 millimeter lug to lug, or I'm sorry, 20 millimeter lug width. The lug to lug was 48 millimeters from here to here. So from the stretch of the lugs right here, it's like what size strap you would get would be a 20 millimeter, which is awesome. It's a very common size. You can find a lot of straps and a lot of custom straps that are in that size as well. But back to the strap. Sorry, I always get talking. The back of the strap is actually rubberized. So it is probably one of the, in my opinion, they outdo Omega straps 100%. It's in a very, very well made strap. And this one has just got the regular Zenith tang buckle, but it is fully in-house. And that's something a lot of people don't realize. They realize that the Zenith did make the movement for the Daytonas for a while, specifically the Zenith Daytonas. But Zenith is fully in-house. They make everything. Their straps, their cases, even everything down to these little tang buckles. All their straps are actually got model numbers and references on them. Everything is made in-house by Zenith. So they are truly in-house. I do have this one for sale right now. It will probably be gone by tonight at the price that I have it listed at. I'm not going to mention the price on the video because depending on when you check it, the market always changes. But this one does come full set. And something I do like is, pardon me, we'll slide the watch out of the way for a second. I really like Zenith's boxes. I'm not really impressed with Rolex boxes, to be completely honest with you. They don't really do a lot for me. And Zenith, and Omega's boxes have almost gotten too big for me. I think this is an excellent box. It's a lacquered wood box. Very, very well done. Nothing crazy. I would compare this to something like a Breguet box. Breguet would be up to these standards, but it's a very well made box. And then your booklets, of course, everything you need to know about your caliper movement, as well as just normal functioning with your watch. It's an amazing brand, great bang for buck. And once again, I just want you to really just look at that dial. I mean, it's just beautiful. I don't know if I've ever seen a more elegant GMT watch. I mean, I love the GMT Master 2 and the GMT Master by Rolex, and I like some of his Omega's GMTs, but I mean, this is just like, a lot of times you don't get a GMT function in a dressy sport watch. And I did mention that it comes on a bracelet. It's the same, nearly the same looking bracelet. It is a different reference number as the Zenith El Primero bracelet. So it kind of looks like the Oyster bracelet from Rolex with the polished center links. And it really does make this watch a lot more sporty. I've seen a few of them on Instagram. And for sure, check me out on Instagram. I'm not really making straps right now at the moment, but I did make handmade straps for a while. But yeah, check me out on Instagram at Watch Display and see what I have. I'm going to probably do a video on a Longines coming up. I'm also going to do one on a 116613 LB Bluesy ceramic Submariner two-tone. I'm also going to do one on a Breguet Transatlantic Type 20 and a few other watches as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and feel free to ask any questions. And if you want to get this watch, I'm going to be posting the video tonight. If you want to get this watch, send me a direct message on Instagram at Watch Display.